Since your book, Signature in the Cell, has come out, obviously science has very much been focused on DNA study and the study of information, as you put it. How has any of that new research affected your perspective since you've written that book?
Well, the book came out in 2009, and then the paperback was released in 2010. And one of the arguments I made near the end of the book was not just about the basics of molecular biology, the fact that you've got DNA with information-rich sequences that codes for the building of proteins, but also about new things we're learning about what computer scientists call the design patterns that are at work in the information processing system of the cell. We have one of the Microsoft elite programmers who has worked with our lab. He was writing some software, 10,000 lines of code, to help simulate what's called the gene expression system, how the information in DNA directs the construction of proteins. And one day he walked into my office and he threw a book down on my table called Design Patterns. It's a standard design manual for computer software engineers. And he said, somewhat melodramatically, especially for a computer science guy, he says, I get an eerie feeling. He says that someone's figured this out before us. And I said, what do you mean? And he explains, well, I'm writing all this code to try to simulate not just the fact that DNA has information, which he says, I know is what is the bee in your bonnet, Steve, but it's not just the information, it's how the cell is processing the information. It's using all the same design patterns, and then he explained, that's a term of art, design strategies or a design logic. It's using all the same design strategies that we use in modern digital computing. There's a automated error correction in the cell. We have spell check. We have files within folders, folders within superfolders, superfolders within superduper folders, a hierarchical filing system on the desktop, but that's also what the cell uses to organize the information that it has on the chromosomes. And he explained how there's nested coding of information, messages encoded in other messages, an advanced technique used in cryptography. And he's finding all this sophisticated design logic in the way that the cell processes information. And so in the book, I actually describe this, but we've been learning more and more about this, even in very recent years. One thing that's come out is that the so-called junk DNA, the parts of the DNA that don't code for building proteins, is no longer thought to be junk at all. It's information, and it's performing a very sophisticated function. It is essentially functioning like an operating system that is timing the expression of the data files, the parts of the DNA that code for proteins. So the more we learn about the cell, the more we learn that it's a hierarchically arranged system of information that is mind-blowing in its complexity.